I'm Josh Shurley. I'm a National Vice President of Veterans for Peace. I'm also a professor of political science and an activist from Fresno, California, out in stolen Yokuts land. My academic background happens to be in international relations and specializing in U.S. foreign policy in Africa, which is kind of what brings me here today. The other thing that brings me here today, in terms of my background, is I was an infantry soldier and a non-commissioned officer in the U.S. Army throughout the 1990s and the early 2000s. But I'm here today proudly as a representative of Veterans for Peace with our 140 chapters worldwide, including right here in St. Louis. I want to thank Bob Suberi, the chapter leader here in St. Louis. It was Bob who really pushed to have this, to bring this to the attention of the national leadership at VFP. So I really appreciate his efforts there. So for those who don't know, Veterans for Peace is a global organization of military veterans dedicated to exposing the true costs of war and militarism. And we don't just mean the financial and the material costs, right? But the environmental, the human costs, the moral costs. And so we seek also to abolish war as an instrument of policy. And we have a commitment to seeking justice for all victims of war. Right. Justice, of course, being a prerequisite for peace. Yeah. And I'd be remiss, by the way, if I didn't mention a big sacrifice that we're all well aware of now. And I want to thank you for the moving tribute that you did earlier I'm talking about Aon Bushnell. Aon is exactly the type of person that we cherish and that we need in the Veterans Peace movement. And however one may feel about the way that he chose to go out, what you have to admit is that he went out on his own terms. And in so doing, exposing the empire for the monstrosity that it is. And personally, I think we have yet to fully grasp the full impact of Aon Bushnell's actions. And I don't just mean his death, by the way, but I'm talking about, from what we've learned about him, I'm talking about how this young man lived his life while in uniform. It speaks volumes about him, and it demonstrates what is possible, what kind of change is possible. And yes, of course, I'm talking about structural change, the change out there. That's, of course. But what I'm referring to here is the internal change. Revolution has to start here. Change within ourselves, and it's never too late to do the right thing, and Aon demonstrated that, and that's not easy in this society, right? In this toxic culture that perpetuates the sort of colonial modes of production, as the chairman was alluding to earlier. And so it is our solidarity that I think the powers that be really fear the most, and it is our solidarity that is the cure to what ails us. Even the haters and the empire apologists who try to distort and undermine Aon Bushnell's example, the same ones who would prosecute Julian Assange and the Uhuru 3 as foreign agents, as absurd as that is, right? These are vile acts, obviously, but they indicate fear. Yeah. The empire fears the enormous potential of our solidarity. Yeah. It's why they target the truth tellers. Yeah. Why they went after Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, so many others. It's why they're going after the Uhuru 3, Chairman Yeshitela, Chairman Jesse, Chairwoman Penny. These leaders, these truth tellers, they show us the real meaning of service and sacrifice. And I'll close on that thought about service, right? We talk about service in military circles, right? It's often referred to as serving in the military. Serving in the military, it's referred to as the service. And sometimes we hear that common refrain, as veterans have heard this, right? Thank you for your service. Never quite sat right with me. And a good activist friend of mine once said, and I would agree, you shouldn't thank me for my military service unless you're an oil company or a Wall Street bank. But in closing, I just want to say it's organizations like this and movements like this doing the work that is being done here, gatherings like this one this is what real service looks like. So I want to thank you. Thank you for the program you've put together. Thank you for the effort in building principled coalitions. Thank you for allowing myself and Veterans for Peace for being to be a part of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. Thank you for your service and for helping show us what is possible. So that's all I have. Hands off the Uhuru 3. No more genocide in our name. Free Palestine. Uhuru.